So, speaking of another Alabama quarterback, thank you as always, because I know you saw the episode I did on Mac Jones. I'll say it and I'll say it again, man. Look, Bill Belichick, he failed Mac Jones because this was the right type of quarterback that you had around you. I mean, come on, champ. Josh McDaniels and Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia was your OC. Joe Judge at one point was your OC. I mean, come on. It's like you always say. It's kind of like going to Vietnam with a BB gun. I mean, come on. You put Mac Jones may not be the most spectacular quarterback in the world, but how could anyone would work under those types of circumstances, champ? I've said it, and I'll keep on saying this, and I said this at the time when the 49ers, they made a mistake taking Trey Lance rather than Mac Jones. Because can you imagine if you put Mac Jones on that roster? I think they would go just as far, just like you saw with Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy. And the other argument that I will make, and I will release it in the video later on, I think for the San Francisco 49ers, you might as well go with Mac Jones for the remainder of the season. Because if this is the type of Mac Jones that I'm getting, I might as well go with it. I'm winning games. And on top of that, San Francisco, they've been decimated with injuries. And we talk about Shane Steichen as coach of the year, and rightfully so. But why not Kyle Shanahan? Look, say what you want about Kyle Shanahan as far as with his clock management issues, the Super Bowl, all that stuff. You're not going to name too many offensive play callers better than him. And the fact that the 49ers are 4-1. And Mac Jones got hit a lot in that game. He almost threw up in that game. I don't know if anyone saw it on the sideline. He almost threw up. Matt Stafford played well, but the fumbles, Blake Corum, and then the big Alfred Collins, who punched the ball out of Kieran Williams' hands. Now, again, the 4th and 1 on overtime, I don't mind them going for it because the kicker had issues. He missed the extra point and the previous field goal. Although you can make the argument, well, he did hit a field goal to put it in overtime. But in 4th and 1, analytics will always say, hey, go with the offense, go with the flow. But Mac Jones, man, again, I'm not saying that draft Mac Jones 3rd overall. Mac Jones is going to be an all-time great quarterback, but you got to think of style, offense, fit, system. Mac Jones is a perfect ideal fit for Kyle Shanahan's offense because we've seen Kyle Shanahan work with less tier quarterbacks, and look what he's done with them. And to your point, this could help Mac Jones get an opportunity to go to Pittsburgh. Because we don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to come back next year. Who knows? He may retire. So what are your thoughts on Mac Jones?
One thing's for sure, two things are certain. There's always going to be a quarterback controversy in San Francisco, man. There's always going to be a quarterback controversy in San Francisco, whether it be Montana and Steve Young, whether it be Colin Kaepernick and Alex Smith, whether it be Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy. Now it's Brock Purdy against Mac Jones. Look, coaching matters. Coaching matters. I hope that a lot of these NFL teams are looking at these players and understand that coaching matters. Development matters. Taking your time with rookie quarterbacks, making sure you don't set them up for failure happens. Ironically, Mac Jones had his best season where he was under the tutelage of Josh McDaniels in New England.
Rookie year.
Yeah, his rookie year, made the Pro Bowl. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Took them to the playoffs.
Took them to the playoffs. So, coaching matters. And no coach personified that other than Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh showed a lot of these coaches that, hey, I could draft a player and turn him to what I need him to be with a little bit of with a lot of coaching versus you trying to push someone out there and just make them the savior of the franchise. So I'll say this, Mac Jones is doing darn good. I think that if he keeps winning, it's going to produce a quarterback controversy. I don't think they should have played Brock Purdy all of that money without, really going another season. I understand that everybody's trying to make sure that they don't go into cap hell, but guess what? In this system, a lot of quarterbacks can succeed. And look, you went to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo.
And Brock Purdy.
Yeah, so it's not like neither one of these guys were world beaters and Hall of Famers, guys. Let's just keep it all the way above. And look, Mac Jones, what makes it even more impressive is, look, there is no Deebo Samuels on that team. There is no Brandon Ayuk. There is no George Kittle. I mean, Juwan Jennings, I think he got hurt. So,
and yeah, Ricky Pearsall was there,
yeah,
but still, they find ways to win,
they
champ.
find ways to win.
And I've said this before, and you agreed with me because I saw your IG story. Doesn't that speak to how Bill Belichick, how the way he failed them in New England?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
and we give Belichick this aura because, again, rightfully so. He's a 6-time Super Bowl champion head coach. I'm not saying I know more football than Bill Belichick, but at the same time, Bill, you haven't been the same without Tom Brady. I'm looking at the last couple of years in New England, and I'm not even going to talk about the college football, especially what happened to you yesterday against Clemson. We won't talk about that. I'll give you fairness to that, champ. You say, hey, give him some grace. He doesn't have enough talent, enough pieces to work with. Let's see as time moves on. If we can do that with Deion Sanders, fine. We can do that with Bill Belichick. But my thing is with Mac Jones, all this stuff about him, because he had talent around him in Alabama. Yeah, of course, you've had great weapons around you in Alabama, but still in all, you got to deliver the football. He's not flashy or spectacular, but as you always say, Chip, don't be pretty. Be good. Same thing with Jalen Hurts. Even though the Eagles lost, Jalen Hurts, for the most part, has been pretty good. Is he elite or pretty? The flashiest? No. Is he like the top? Is he like sweet potato pie or any type of sweet delicious dessert? No, but he's good and effective. And when you look at Mac Jones, man, just give the young kids some talent to work with and somebody to work with. And you're seeing that with San Francisco. And I've said it before, man, they should have went with Mac Jones right away. Because if you needed a quarterback right away to produce, or either between Jimmy Garoppolo or Mac Jones, Trey Lance, you said it before, projects. You said that with Anthony Richardson. You said that with Will Levis. And you've watched a lot of SEC football. And you were never that big or sold on Will Levis nor Anthony Richardson. And we didn't see that much football from Trey Lance.
No.
But they picked them because prototype 6'4", 237, cannon of an arm, athletic ability. People are trying to look for the next Cam or next Josh Allen. And look how that turned out. I mean, they traded to Dallas. They got a 4th-round pick. And now he's with the Chargers.
Yeah. Teams, look, listen. A lot of teams have to get Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Those are anomalies. And they had coaching. Coaching matters. If you don't believe that, look at Baker Mayfield. Look at Sam Darnold. Look at them. All of them, high draft picks, didn't succeed in the first place they went. End up being a journeyman. Got some coaching. Flourish. Development and coaching matters. Not just saying you're the savior of the franchise, throwing you out there to the wolves. And Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, they were developmental quarterbacks, but they were anomalies. They were able to come in and make an instant impact because guess what? They were just that talented and just that great, and their skills were underestimated. But for every team to be trying to go after these type of quarterbacks is kind of crazy because guess what? If that quarterback doesn't have the right coaching around them, they're not going to flourish. They're not. We've seen this before. And I wish that teams will understand that coaching matters. It's not just, drafting a quarterback because he has a rocket arm and you think he's going to be the same. No, it's coaching. And I said this before and I said it again. When Trey Lance did not succeed in San Francisco, that just goes to show you that he was just that bad. Because guess what? Look at what Kyle Shanahan has done. He went to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, went to the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy. Got Brock Purdy paid. Now, Mac Jones out there looking like Joe Montana. Peak Joe Montana. starting up. There's been 2 quarterback controversies since Kyle Shanahan has been in San Francisco. Brock Purdy versus Jimmy Garoppolo. Now Mac Jones versus Brock Purdy, the guy who he got paid. So yeah, that's what coaching does. Coaching is key. I mean, I just can't put it no better than that. I'm glad Mac Jones is. You know what? Although he's Alabama, and Alabama, you break my heart every time we play. I'm glad because he is out of the SEC, and I love to see the Southern guys shine. But Mac Jones is out of the SEC, and I'm loving what I'm seeing, man. Like I said, if he doesn't end up being the quarterback for San Francisco long term, I would love to see him go to Pittsburgh. They need some quarterback stability there, and that would be perfect for him.
Maybe Miami. Because you're not sure with Tua with his health.
They got to get Mike McDaniel out of there.
Well, they got to get Mike McDaniel out there, but can you imagine Mac Jones? He doesn't have to worry about throwing the ball that deep because he's not known for having the strongest arm, but with Jalen Waddle and some pieces that they have to work with. So they got to fire Mike McDaniel. Unfortunately, they can't do anything with Tua because you just paid him a ton of money, and Tua doesn't have a lot of trade value given his production and durability history. Tyreek wants out. I believe they're going to do whatever they can. And unfortunately for Tyreek, he's gone for the rest of the season because of that injury. Hearts and prayers go to him.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, like I said before with Mac Jones, man, I just think we really got to stop putting so much. We got to really stop putting these quarterbacks on such a pedestal because you mentioned this. Hey, is CJ Stroud? Did we crown him too prematurely? And look, I still believe CJ is a great I still believe he can be a great quarterback, champ. Let's not pretend or act as if he's a bust. I'm not saying you've ever called him a bust, but I do think too many times, though, when quarterbacks perform right away and produce, we expect him to be the next thing. I mean, look at Jaden Daniels now. I still believe in Jaden Daniels. He's our quarterback, but so far, these past couple of games, he hasn't played like the Jaden Daniels of last year. Do I see that continuing for the rest of his career? No, I do believe as time will evolve, he will get better and better and better. But unfortunately, the league has caught up. So now he's got to catch up to the league. That's all I look at. And plus, the reason why I'm not going to be too hard on CJ, champ, because you've often said on my show several times, not just on my pod, Brandon's pod, your pod, and several pods, the quarterback cannot throw on his back. And look, with Mac Jones, I just don't think he was surrounded with enough talent, enough of the right people around him in New England. I mean, come on, champ. Matt Patricia, of all people, and Joe Judge as your offensive coordinators, that's kind of like I said, chitlins and potty meat. That's kind of like what you having for dinner. Or you having Kendrick Perkins giving you a basketball take. That's just how bad it was in New England. No, I'm serious. That's just how bad it was, man. Because if that's what you're trying to give me, I want no parts of it.
Hey, coaching matters. And look, unfortunately, the offensive packages that we saw when Tom Brady was there, his first 10 years was not there when Mac Jones got there. You got to remember, although a lot of the coaches didn't succeed long term, they had some type of success. When Tom Brady first got to New England, you had not only Bill Belichick, you had Charlie Weiss, you had Romeo Crennel, you had Josh McDaniels, you had Bill O'Brien, you had those type of coaches. Each one of them may not have Eric Mangini. Each one of those coaches has had, whether it be a winning season with another team or something of that nature, they had success in their own right, with the exception of Josh McDaniels. When you think about Charlie Weiss, remember those couple brilliant seasons that he had in Notre Dame, and that thrilling game that he had against USC back when they were at their peak. Remember that? Remember Romeo Crennel was able to lead the team in the Cleveland Browns to a 10-6 record. Mangini was able to lead the team to a playoff berth. The only person that wasn't, I mean, Bill O'Brien, although everybody has their criticisms about Bill O'Brien, he was able to lead the Houston Texans to the playoffs a couple times with Deshaun Watson.
Although he self-destructed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he self-destructed very, very badly, but he was able to win a division title down there. So each one of those coaches, with the exception of Josh McDaniels, has had success within their own right. Mac Jones didn't have that. He had Josh McDaniels his rookie year. Then after that, Josh McDaniels went on to be a disaster in Las Vegas, right on the heels of the John Gruden disaster. So when you put that into perspective, you're absolutely right. New England failed him. Joe Judge and Matt Patricia, the pencil guy. Matt Patricia is a defensive coordinator. He's not an offensive guy. So when you put that into perspective, they didn't have the pieces there in order for him to compete. They didn't have the coaching there. Bill Belichick is a defensive coach. He's not an offensive coach. And I don't put that a lot on him. A lot of coaches, they're not able to succeed without their legacy quarterback. There's not that many coaches that you know that can go out and succeed and win Super Bowls without their legacy quarterback, because the guy who follows up with them is not going to be necessarily as good. When you think about Mike Holmgren, he was able to win a Super Bowl with Brett Favre. He wasn't able to win one with Matt Hasselbeck. He wasn't able to win one with him.
But at the same time, Champ, Belichick is not only a head coach, he's also the one making football decisions. He has final say with this roster. So unfortunately, that is kind of on him by putting Matt Patricia as a DC. And look, we didn't really care that much. Perhaps we did because we looked at Bill Belichick, his aura, the 6-time Super Bowl champion head coach. But it's about what have you done for me lately, in the words of Janet Jackson. Mm-hmm. It's about scheme. It's about fit. And for Belichick, of all people, to do that, that is clueless. Whether anybody wants to say it, admit it or not, that is just the truth. Why would anybody put their quarterback, regardless if he wasn't going to be the guy for them, why would you put them under those types of circumstances?
Absolutely.